0-3. When the Wolves are winning, Forgiven is doing well. Simple fact that we've learned throughout this split so far, but we're into the bans and the picks, so let's see what comes our way. Trundle, Renekton, both banned out here by the Copenhagen Wolves. YoungBuck will enjoy that one because that means that Xaxus has got 2 less options. On the other side, they're focusing on Amazing.
Yeah, we'll see what YoungBuck wants to run in the top lane. He played Gragas yesterday, and he played very well with that Gragas. The Yasuo is still open and available to them as well if they want to go that route, but Evelynn was a key focus for Amazing yesterday. If you look at 2 junglers being banned up from Roccat, they are clearly signaling we do not want Amazing to ruin our days and to get in our lanes early. It's something that Amazing has been able to do many times in the past.
What are they going to go for here, though? Lulu was taken out, and now YoungBuck is going to be taking first pick. You expect that, with the fact that they've gone and banned 3 top laners out, does that mean that they're going to take their top laner first, or does that mean they've got something very, very specific in mind for this match?
If they lock in something like a Gragas, for example, it puts that seed of doubt on the side of Roccat, because it is a champion that cowTard has played in the past. It's something that works for him and his playstyle. This time round, they have opted to go for the Elise. Now, if I look at yesterday's games, the Elise was banned out by Millennium toward... excuse me, I hit my cough button. So I think that with the Elise being banned out yesterday from Millennium towards the Copenhagen Wolves, Amazing is still playing Elise in scrims, much like Cyanide. I still believe Elise is a top-tier pick. Maybe not necessarily the best jungler anymore, but definitely powerful enough.
So, some interesting facts about the Elise and Amazing. He won with Elise in the first game of the season against Alliance, but he's not won a single game with Elise since then in the jungle. Very interesting. We're going to see him on it this time around. Roccat, take away the Gragas, whether that ends up with Xaxus up top or whether that ends up in the mid lane here with Overpow, we'll have to see. And also taking Lucian for Celaver.
Yeah, so once again, the diversity in the pick is there on the side of Roccat. I want to highlight that we have also seen Gragas jungles elsewhere in the world. The only reason I say that point now is to exemplify the diversity of that pick. Because you can put Gragas into multiple lanes and he can do sort of different jobs depending on the team comp that you want to run, there is always that the option available to you. We have also seen Overpow playing assassins in the past. So if Roccat wanted to run the likes of a Yasuo-Gragas combination, I think Overpow played Forgiven last week or the week before last. And, you know, it is theoretically there and theoretically possible for him. A safe pick locking in that Lucian for Celaver. It is his second most played AD carry, if I remember correctly. And he's just safe picks here for Roccat.
On the other side for the Wolves, they're going to be, I'm guessing, taking away Caitlyn. The question for me is what support comes with that. We've got Thresh still on the board. VandeR was a beastly Thresh early season. And to be honest, on the other side, Unlimited doesn't really play Thresh. Well, he doesn't play Thresh.
No, I don't think that he does, and I think Unlimited's a better Karma anyway. So I would like to see something like that, maybe even a Leona pick. It's what he ran yesterday. You've got hard engage that can sync up with that Shyvana and with that Elise quite effectively. So there are options available. The reason the Copenhagen Wolves are holding off on that is to determine what else Roccat are running. By leaving their support pick to last, they can decide if they want mobility from Karma or if they want engage from Leona. And we'll see what Roccat decide to lock in. VandeR has been playing Thresh not necessarily to the greatest degree in recent weeks. I think his Thresh play was much better at the beginning of the split. We've seen VandeR experimenting with Annie recently, also not necessarily the greatest success. Morgana is still up if they wanted to go that route. And interestingly, Roccat leaving that final pick to their support as well. A different type of pick ban phase this time around.
Nidalee then for Overpow or Xaxus. We'll see if they end up switching hands whatsoever. Celaver for the jungle, and of course Lucian. Celaver for the jungle? I'm pretty sure Celaver's not going to be in the jungle. Let's try that one again. Lucian for Celaver and KhaZix for the jungle for Jankos. I'm moving on to the Copenhagen Wolves now. They're looking for their support and their mid laner. What are they going to be going for? What have they been playing here recently? Actually pretty varied if you look at cowTard's previous games. Yasuo, of course, against Millennium yesterday. That's not banned out here. He's also had a couple of Lulu games. That's unfortunately not available for him this time.
I think Leona has to be a consideration, and my reasoning is this. Gragas and Nidalee are heavy poke champions. They will be good in sieges. They want to land a lot of damage. One of, if not the best counter to poke champions is hard engage. Annie will fulfill a role similarly to that of Leona. You flash in there, you get Tibbers down, you stun up members of Roccat, and then you engage. Now, if this Xerath is going to be locked in, this is going to be a long-range poke versus long-range poke battle. We could be in for a long one because until poke lands and actually deals damage to your opponents, it's going to be very, very difficult to get on the tower. Thanks to having Caitlyn in the side of the Wolves, they will have slightly superior early game sieging and early game zone control. For me, VandeR would need to go Karma now to dodge the move speed of the Elise and the Shyvana and get on Xerath, or maybe even Leona to do exactly the same job. Counter Annie, jump on her, punish her in lane, and get some kills for yourself and Celaver.
Well, we'll see about that. I think for me, VandeR, we've said it before, that early on in the season, he looked amazing. VandeR looked absolutely amazing, but in the times where they've been struggling, you know, if you look back at the last 6 games, they've lost 5 of them. The stats don't get any better if you go a little bit further back even. VandeR has not really performed on the level that we've been used to seeing in the early stages of the season. It is going to be the Karma support locked in here for Roccat to go up against the Annie.
So those were the only 2 options they had. It was either going to be the hard engage or they were going to go for mobility. Now, looking at the rest of their champions, considering that they had Nidalee and Gragas, the more I think about it, the more I think that is a slightly better option. My only question is, what role is KhaZix meant to fill in this particular situation? He doesn't have the strongest peel. KhaZix is a champion that wants to run in. His only buddy that's going to run in with him will be Gragas with maybe an explosive cask. So I feel like the jungle pick from Roccat is a little bit obscure. Had it been something like a Pantheon, it may have filled a different role. So what we're going to see from Roccat, extended laning phase, looking to land good poke, and once they land poke, using mobility from Karma and engage from KhaZix to scare the Wolves away. Wolves, on the other hand, have much more engage potential. Shyvana, Elise, and Annie can jump into Rocket's face if cowTard lands some good damage with that Xerath. So it's going to be a poke war. If Roccat are a little bit out of position, they will be jumped on by the Wolves first, and that could be scary. And
a very important matchup for both of these teams. But before we get into it, let's check in with your forecast for this game. 66% of you went with Roccat as the winner. Funnily enough, the Copenhagen Wolves, as we said before, 2-1 ahead in the overall, in the head-to-head ranking between these 2 teams. And also, for me, the more informed team right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's more problems in Rockat's gameplay at this moment in time than there is with the Copenhagen Wolves gameplay. And judging on how the Wolves performed yesterday, even though it was against Millennium, who are arguably not at their best shape either, they still look good. They still did what they needed to do, and they closed that game out pretty convincingly.
Yeah, it's hard to, I think, judge a lot of teams against Millennium because they're a team that have struggled so much in the last games that it's been really hard to say who played well against the team that can't really do that much at the minute. Either way, we're going to find out whether the Copenhagen Wolves can tie up the standings with Roccat here. They're at 11 for 12. Roccat just ahead at 12 for 11. We are going to get in-game, though. We've got a Xerath for a 2nd game in a row.
Yeah, we'll see how this works. Xerath last time around, not as effective. Kerp unable to make that champion work for him. This time around, we do see Unlimited with an early ward. So this immediately tells you that they either want to get Vision to do an invade, or they're going to group up. Now, if Unlimited has charged up his stun, which he has, it is going to allow them to get some hard CC very early on. We'll see if they can make a count. There are also teleports on both of these top laners. So, and is a teleport Shyvana and a teleport Gragas that will be looking to make people's lives a bit more difficult as we get later into the game.
Actually, the Wolves setting up a little bit of funkiness here down on the bottom side of the map. Amazing. Sorry, Unlimited is going to start to move around there as well. And let's not forget, Amazing. If he picks that Cocoon first, obviously not ideal for him then in the jungle, but it could help them secure something early.
So a smart play here from Copenhagen Wolves. The ward that Unlimited picked up was placed in the top river. So this is going to prevent Roccat from stealing their blue without the Wolves being aware of it. So what the Wolves are looking to do is contest this buff against Roccat. If Roccat peel away and try to balance it out by taking the buff from the Copenhagen Wolves, there's going to be potential to collapse on members of Roccat. And you know, if long range poke versus long range poke is the battle of the mid lane, cowTard is significantly losing right now. Also, there's a cleanse on Nidalee, so keep that in mind. Slightly different mid lane summoner than what we're used to seeing.
Get away from the stun, and Xaxus here is starting to move around. He's inside the brush. They're going to spot him pretty late, and Xaxus able to escape that one. Did actually have to level his body slam up first there, though, to stay safe. And we can see that Roccat have invaded as well on the top side of the map, which means that the junglers are simply going to exchange blue buffs and then move back towards their own reds. We do have that lane swap in action as well, of course. Roccat sending their duo lane to the top side and Gragas down bottom.
So that ward actually ended up doing nothing for the Wolves. They did, Roccat did walk across the vision, so Wolves were aware that the buff was being stolen. Jankos has got himself the blue buff, got himself the wolf camp, and he's going to continue about his merry way. So, you know, even start to this game as far as the jungle camps are concerned. We also see a lane swap. This time it's Roccat that have initiated it. Whether it was to avoid the Caitlyn Annie lane, or it was in anticipation of a Copenhagen Wolves lane swap themselves, which is something that the Wolves have done very often. We'll have to see, but I think with Gragas clearing out the jungle camps and being able to do better in a 1v2, I think Roccat just wanted it to try gain an early advantage.
And there's a ward then offered up here for Gragas, thanks to those jungle camps that he's cleared from the start. And we'll see if he puts that around the tri-bush area just to get some early warning of a possible three-man dive onto him. Meanwhile, cowTard pushing the pressure back onto Overpow in this mid lane. Does manage to land that slow. We said it in the last game. It's pretty slow. It's almost easy to dodge, but if you force it into an area where the minions, well, you can't get past the minions there, you're going to go and get stunned either way. These two 2v1s, bang even at the point of the turret, which is what I was getting onto next. Although the CS is even, this bottom turret is falling super fast.
Keep in mind, Copenhagen Wolves started this lane swap and they have lost the lane swap. They have lost their bottom turret within 4 minutes of the game. There is a decent enough minion wave here for Xaxus to farm up, but Celaver and VandeR are going to take a lot longer to get that top turret down. Before 8 minutes, that top turret still has the damage reduction from champion attacks, so it's at 50%. They've got so much more work to do before they can balance that out. Yesterday, Roccat, when playing against Alliance, I don't think they played their early lane swap well, and I feel like this is backfiring on them once again. You know, Wolves are on the inner turret.
Yeah, wakey. Roccat needs to do something about this one. They've got their jungler there. Top side of the map. They have forced YoungBuck away, but again, he holds on to it. The tower being stronger and all that, and he's just going to sit behind it this entire time. Xaxus going to be throwing these barrels out to clear these waves as much as possible, but he himself is still level 2, and again, 3 men for the Wolves stack up there. Yeah,
and look at, like, Jankos on KhaZix at this level in the game can't offer a whole lot. There's a little bit of splash damage on his ability, so maybe some wave clear to help out with KhaZix, but Elise can tower dive. A good cocoon into some percentage HP damage plus repel is going to allow this 3-man in conjunction with Annie to actually have some kill potential. Now Jankos has to be a little bit careful. The rest of the champions are ignoring Roccat and they're just hammering away on this tower. Copenhagen Wolves are doing very, very well in the first 5 minutes of this match.
And if you jump at them, then Unlimited is going to stun both of you up. So not really a lot they can do about that one. YoungBuck still holding on to his outer turret in that top lane, trying his best to strip those minions down whilst keeping himself ahead in farm. Does have a lead on Gragas in farm and has held on to that turret for longer. It is finally going to go down here though for Roccat. Comes about a minute later than that of the Wolves.
So at this point in time, the global gold is still sitting in favor of the Wolves thanks to some slightly higher CS counts and the fact that, look at this advantage, they're getting close to taking the inner turret down. Overpow can't respond. Rockat's duo lane is still sticking around in that top lane. Amazing is happy to stay in this lane right now because he's stealing away, he stole away the big white, he's stealing away the wolf camp, and if the Wolves stick around for another minute or so, they can steal the blue buff from Roccat once again, so they can get the tower and another blue buff steal.
And the fact is that Jankos is there, so he can't counter-steal that blue. As Unlimited actually going to stun up Xaxus once again, and they may just be able to force him away from that one. Forgiven, granted, getting a little bit low that time around, but where's the threat? As long as they've got eyes on Nidalee, they know what they're faced up against.
Yeah, a little bit too antsy there. Too many turret shots means that Forgiven and Unlimited are a lot lower in HP. But if you look at the mana pools there for both Jankos and Xaxus, they don't have enough mana for multiple spell reels. Body Slam does not connect with Unlimited. So trading the poke back and forth. And if Xaxus actually backs away, the Ignite was on him, it means that in this next minion wave, the tower should be able to go down. Overpower at level 6 could come in from the side. A good Javelin toss could secure kills. But look at this, he's coming from Tribush. I feel like Celaver and VandeR, Forgiven and Unlimited are in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and they didn't know he was coming. He jumped around the side of that one. Forgiven is going to go very low. He tries to flash away. Overpow gets that one. I don't think Unlimited has got anything to escape either. And that is a double kill for Nidalee. Disastrous, really, for the Copenhagen Wolves after doing everything so great.
Even bigger than that, the teleport was used from YoungBuck. I have no idea what he was hoping to accomplish in that situation, because that's a 5-minute cooldown now. All of a sudden, the Copenhagen Wolves have a bit of a numbers advantage in this position right now. They were trying to challenge for blue, decided against it. 2 early kills, they both go to Overpow's Nidalee. His spears are going to be hitting so hard, so much earlier. And if you cast your mind back to that video, Copenhagen Wolves are saying we need to shut down Overpow. That definitely is not happening right now.
No, they've done almost the polar opposite of that one, giving the first 2 kills of the game over to Nidalee. He's level 7 now, and he surely has a good chunk of gold to be going back to spend. Does already have that chalice, and he's got almost enough to even buy himself a needlessly large rod if you want him to go straight that direction. He's going to be getting himself a blue buff, and not really a need for him to go home right now.
I wonder if that wouldn't even be a smart option. If he grabs himself an incredibly early needlessly large rod, it would allow him to just really hammer down all of his opponents, because even a Shyvana at this level is still going to be quite squishy. It's still going to be, fairly easy to take out. But, the smarter option would just be to invest that gold, finish your Athenes and Holy Grail, have the cooldown reduction, and, play it a bit smarter. And we'll see what Overpow does decide to do. After all of the shenanigans of the lane swapping, the net gain is still sitting in favor of Copenhagen Wolves, I feel, because they got a lot of damage on the inner turret. They have Shyvana with a significant CS advantage over Xaxus, and the map presence that Forgiven and Unlimited is going to have against Celaver and VandeR will play into their favor. Any flash tibbers with no tower behind you means Celaver and VandeR are always at kill threat.
Especially if the flashes are down, which actually they are Forgiven. He's the only one that really used that flash. Credit to Unlimited for not going that direction. He just kind of let it happen to him. He knew even using a flash wouldn't get him away from the level 6 or 7 Nidalee as Overpow was then, and be able to chase you down in Cougar form. Funnily enough, Overpow decided not to leave, so let's have a look down some of the CS totals here. Bottom lane, just 2 CS between them. Mid lane, not even that, but those 2 kills make the big difference. If we look at the solo laners from the top side, 44 to YoungBuck to the 20 of Xaxus.
There's a level 6 Jankos here in the Tribush right now. He's trying to find a gank onto Forgiven and Unlimited, but it is so easy to read because all of a sudden Celaver and VandeR move past the minion wave. They haven't done that at all this entire time. This is now a level 7 Jankos. He's going to come in. Oh, there was a great net from Forgiven.
Yeah, but Forgiven does not have his ultimate here, but the presence of Amazing. You see Roccat say, no, do not want. They turn around from that one and decide not to go any further. I'm surprised almost that Jankos didn't
cowTard's in trouble.
Stealth into that one. He's going to get the stun here on towards Overpow, but he's going to be hit from both sides. He's going to have to flash, but is it enough? Yes, it is. The rest of his team are waiting on the bottom side.
That was a very good flash. It actually dodged the javelin toss coming out of Overpow as well. That was at max range. It would have been very, very close if it would have killed him. So Roccat are fending off this aggression from Forgiven and Unlimited. Jankos spent a lot of time waiting for that gank. Had he managed to go a little bit earlier before Amazing could get in range, that could have been a slightly different story, but it was not the case. Now, cowTard has no vision of that Wraith camp, so we had no idea that Jankos was in there stealing it away, and Amazing's going to contest. It could be a smite war, which Jankos will win because he has smite. Amazing does not.
Thanks for that one.
Yeah, I was like, as I started, I was looking at cooldowns. I'm like, oh, Amazing doesn't have it.
Well, Jankos didn't know it, and Amazing's going to take it down anyway. So, well done, Amazing, for having the presence there in that one. Otherwise, it certainly would have gone away from him. This top lane still remains in favor of YoungBuck, getting himself some nice magic resist built up now with that Spectre's Cowl and moving up, no doubt, towards that Spirit Visage on the other side. Xaxus, double Doran's Ring, and the boots of speed for him at this stage of the game.
Yeah, so Xaxus should be able to deal with Shyvana in terms of 1v1s if they go all in for a fight. The explosive cask is going to knock Shyvana away, and if you actually time it correctly, you can interrupt that Dragon's Descent from Shyvana. I think Xaxus is going to be looking to farm his way up to a strong mid-game position. That's the most likely situation, because there should not be kill potential for either of those champions 1v1, unless you see those junglers getting involved. As it stands, both Amazing and Jankos have put all of their focus and all of their presence in the bottom lane. where the respective duo lanes have been duking it out for the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Well, we did see a bit of a spend there for Overpow eventually with his Theme's Unholy Grail. Down in the bottom though, once again, VandeR pushing things forward unlimited. I think they're feeling a lot safer in there now. The fact that there is almost that Bloodthirster for Forgiven and not unlimited is level 6, so he can just hang around. And if anyone comes anywhere near him, he can just throw that Tibbers down in their face. No attempt to the Dragon. 12 minutes into this one, the spear comes in, cowTard just steps behind. And whilst Overpow did win the level 1 long-range poke war, cowTard has done a great job of avoiding everything since then.
Yeah, and of course on Xerath, you're going to have much better wave clear in these earlier stages of the game than Nidalee, who needs her Cougar form to get any area of effect spell damage, to clear out the larger waves. I think the fact that Dragon hasn't been started yet is because of how much time each of the teams has spent in that bottom lane. Jankos is going in with his ulti. This could be hard.
Especially since the stun misses there. cowTard is going down. Nothing he can do about that one. If the stun would have hit, yeah. But we said it before, it's so easy to dodge that one. The missile speed low. Jankos also was stealth, so it was kind of just thrown his way. And now they are going to be starting Dragon. This is still risky though, with Annie and Caitlyn still up in the bot lane.
Yeah, well, I think it's still going to be safe enough because that long-range damage from cowTard's not there. And of course, you're going to have Overpow that can zone everybody away with those very long spears. So first Dragon of the game gets secured by Roccat. And the reason that we haven't seen Xerath played for the last 3 weeks is because teams with mobile champions like a KhaZix and like a Nidalee can just run you down and chase you down. And that is the weakness of that Xerath pick. Interestingly enough, in this particular matchup, if you look at the CS between Forgiven and Celaver, they are even right now. 3 separates them. But at the 10-minute mark, it was actually Celaver that was ahead of Forgiven. And, there were strong words from Forgiven. He wasn't impressed by Celaver and VandeR, but as it stands, slight lead to Roccat. And with a completed Bloodthirster, if a battle were to break out in the not-too-distant future, you'd have to give the advantage to Celaver, is going to have that higher amount of attack damage.
Interesting to see how this mid lane now develops with that kill that came in a little bit earlier on. Forgiven actually going super low from this one. Actually, Unlimited flashed in there to get Tibbers down. It wasn't enough damage for the kill. The Colin's going to come flying out. And the Copenhagen Wolves so very low down in that bottom lane. There's no jungle presence. The mid laners are still hanging around. They decide that's going to be it. We'll have a bit of a fight. Ultis will be used, but no kills.
Net gain for Roccat because Flash and Ignite was burned there from Unlimited, so that very hard engage is not going to be available for a few minutes' time. Celaver has already sustained up, half of the damage that was dealt to him, and he's finally going to get some attack damage down onto this bottom tower. If Copenhagen will stick around, that very long-range poke from VandeR is going to allow them to potentially set up kills. I mean, this is great poke from VandeR. There's no ace in the hole to threaten him going down, though.
As far as I've noticed, we've not seen the ultimate coming out of cowTard yet, as we are going to see Unlimited. Ooh. Gets a little bit too close to the Tribos. Jankos actually stealthing in for that one, gets that speed boost to get in there in the nick of time, just jumps on him. That's an easy kill for a KhaZix.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call a bug splat, when a KhaZix jumps on you and just decimates the target. And this is going to allow Roccat to grab themselves a second tower of the game, a healthy 2,500 gold lead, and now all of a sudden Roccat are going to be sieging this inner turret. They've got some minions to work with, the cannon minions there as well. As they had the opportunity to go forward, they decide to play it safe instead. Back away, steal those double golems, and just reset, spend some of the money they've earned. Sitting on a decent amount, 1,500 gold in Celaver's back pocket, so it's going to be a juicy item to be picked up.
Everyone had 1,000 gold there, or more, as they went back. In fact, 2,000 for Overpowers, really saving up for the big items at this stage. I mean, he's 3-0-0, why not? cowTard having troubles, and actually, are they going to go in for it here? Jankos does get stunned, he gets cocooned, but where's the damage? There is none.
None at all. cowTard actually ate a javelin toss from Overpow, which meant he came out worse. I have to commend both Amazing and cowTard, though. They landed both of their skill shot stuns onto Jankos, so chained it together for nearly 2.5-3 seconds worth of stun, but it didn't amount to anything. cowTard was not willing to risk throwing down his ultimate, that Rite of the Arcane. And for the first time in a while, we see Xaxus once again. He's roaming around. There is the potential of like a inverse tower dive. If Xaxus comes in from behind and uses his cask to knock cowTard away from the tower, could be enough damage for Overpow to kill him. Instead, it's going to be the other way around. He's been jumped on.
And that is a face check, Xaxus. And is he going to get away? He does throw his ulti down and actually knock them away from the spear of Overpow. But he will be able to just hop on over the wall there with his body slam. Not too bad news for him. Kept his flash, he played it cool. Well done, considering the scenario.
Yeah, Xaxus is losing in CS quite heavily at the moment. He's about 30 CS down in comparison to YoungBuck, and it's just a testament of a difficult lane to be in. This big 2.5, 3 creep waves worth of minions will help Xaxus even that out, but he really needs to start getting a little bit more ability power worked up. Maybe he's starting to, get some help from Jankos to push YoungBuck backwards, because as it stands, Xaxus is struggling, and when YoungBuck roams with that teleport, he's going to be a very big impact.
This does get a big wave, as you mentioned, and I think should have some decent gold to actually go back and be finishing off. Yeah, 2,000 gold he's sat on there, so Athene's Unholy Grail is in the bag for him on that one. We did actually see Void Staff picked up by Overpow as well. I did mention that he was sat on over 2,000 gold and got that tier starting to really build up now as well.
So something that Roccat are doing very well, because they've got so much long-range poke and they've got champions that, they can find picks. If KhaZix and Karma catch someone out, they do have kill potential on, solo targets. There's a decent amount of deep vision in the side of the Copenhagen Wolves. As long as Roccat maintain a good vision lead, it's going to allow them to land poke from Gragas and from Nidalee when they start roaming, which is going to open up the possibility of KhaZix diving in to get kills. And you see Roccat, they're making use of their vision and their map presence to invade and roam. Overpow and Jankos have been up and down this mid and bottom lane multiple times, and we're only 20 minutes into the game. There's a lot of movement in this particular match.
Poke versus poke combo. Now, the team that gets ahead and can land their poke wins the game. It sounds so obvious, but that literally is what's going to happen in this one. So far, it's Roccat, or really we should say Overpow, because he's the one that just completely destroys anyone that he lands anything onto. Maybe outside of Shyvana at this point. He does have that Spirit Visage and an extra Giant's Belt in there, but we can see that Roccat having 2 men down the bottom, the damage is starting to add up even for VandeR here, the support. We've seen Karmas with some big items today, and why not? If you've got this kind of combo where you're going to be relying on that poke damage over and over, it's worth it.
So we talked about how the poke combo is countered by hard engage. Roccat have done what they need to do in the early game to make a poke composition work. They need to be ahead, and they need their poke to be strong enough to prevent Copenhagen Wolves ever hard engaging. Copenhagen Wolves should never be in a situation where they have enough hit points or enough cooldowns to throw themselves at you and shut your combo down. So let's see if Roccat can keep landing the spears and the barrels that they need to, because if at any time Copenhagen Wolves jump onto Roccat, get a good Tibbers down, get a good ultimate from Xerath or Shyvana running amok in the team, all of a sudden that gold lead is going to mean nothing, because when champions are in your face, Gragas and Nidalee do not do particularly well. Dragon has been started by Roccat. It doesn't look like it's going to be contested for the second one of the game for them.
As you mentioned, Xaxus has to stay alive in teamfight. If that happens, if they jump on him, it has to be Xaxus that doesn't get focused. He needs to be safe in there to have that barrel available. There's another spear coming through. Amazing, losing a ton of HP from that one, and we can see the Wolves don't want any of it. They just back straight away from things. And where are Roccat going to go? For me, they could already, at this stage of things with this Nidalee, be pushing things down.
I feel like as a team, because they've got the poke, they want to be in a position where they can siege a safe turret. And the only way that you can siege a safe turret is to have complete vision control of your enemy jungle. If Roccat are sieging an inner turret in any of the lanes, and all of a sudden YoungBuck teleports in from the side, or flanks them with that Dragon's Descent, that's when they're going to be in trouble. Overpow's now roaming for YoungBuck. Let's see if he can get away.
Well, he does have his ultimate, but he does get blown straight back here. Has to use his flash. There's no turret available for him. Body slam lands. They're going to keep going in. There, in fact, is the damage coming back. But Jankos joins in. YoungBuck is going to fall. They're trying to focus Xaxus. Overpow's at half as well. But look at Jankos. Forces a flash on cowTard.
Yeah, not enough frontline there. So Roccat got good damage down into YoungBuck. He was forced into full retreat. cowTard, once again, has not used his ultimate. We've not seen him casting that to look for kills at all at this point. Amazing does catch a fairly short-range spear, and Roccat are going to steal the blue buff. Now that they know YoungBuck is down, they can push this top minion wave, use that long-range poke to get all of their champions onto the tower, barring Celaver, who's going to shove out that bottom lane and defend against Forgiven.
Well, So they're going to have to back away. Gragas barrels, Nidalee spears. You cannot stand here as cowTard does get hit once again. They've still got a couple of minions up. cowTard's damage, cowTard's wave clear is not enough there to keep that turret safe. And now Celaver going to go in towards Forgiven. He wants blood for those comments in the video earlier. And whilst Forgiven doesn't go down, he realizes that was a losing battle for him.
He needed to flash away. At this point in time, even though Caitlyn does have that last whisper, she's looking for poke first, and she can't contest with the Sheen and all of the attack speed that Lucian's going to get from his passive. After every spellcast, the double tap from his passive is just going to destroy Forgiven's HP. So Forgiven wisely backs away, gets out. They did need to burn his flash. And I think this is a very smart play from Roccat. They're extending their gold lead, they're extending their tower lead, and like we said, with the poke composition, you need to make sure your poke is punishing. As soon as you kill a champion or you hurt a champion, you have to secure vision control and map control, because the moment you lose that, your composition falls to nothing. This tower's going to fall, and Wolves may force a fight.
Tower going down, good stun onto Jankos. They're going to try and put as much damage onto him as they can, but Jankos dives in. They have to use the stuns. Repel comes out as well, but I think Unlimited might fall foul of this one. No, he actually flashes, and it was YoungBuck that caught the spear. The Wolves managed to keep their support alive.
And Roccat can keep the push on. The minion wave is now pushing up behind them, and this is going to be the same situation as that top tower. This is the deadliest ARAM team you've ever seen. With all of the poke and the execution power of KhaZix as well, there's nothing the Wolves can do to defend this. Nidalee spears are throwing up, there's no stun, and that tower's going to drop.
Tower does go down, and Roccat will be happy with that one. That's their 5th of the game. They've not given up a single kill as of yet, and they're closing in on 7,000 gold lead now. And I'm assuming after that, picking themselves another big bunch of gold. Yeah, 3,000 gold for Overpow to go back and spend. And well, if he can do that every time, those spears that almost take cowTard down are going to flatten him.
The scary thing is, this Nidalee right now is still sitting on 3,000 gold, has a tier that's up to 415 mana stacked. So we'll see where Overpow decides to build, if he's going to go straight death cap after a couple hundred extra gold, or if he wants to build Xerath. With only 230 odd ability, 190 ability power, excuse me, he's already destroying their HP bars, and that's just going to get so much harder once he finishes his next couple of items. With Dragon in 2 minutes, the only way for Wolves to contest it or try get in on that is to flank Roccat and catch them off guard. And to do that, Wolves need more vision. They simply do not have enough wards on the map.
Xaxus continuing to... I mean, that 20 CS actually has been pretty constant throughout this one, but Xaxus, he stayed alive in that top lane, in that 2v1. I mean, it was all a bit of a weird start, wasn't it? We were praising the Wolves and saying, okay, Roccat, what is the plan here? You've taken down your turret last, you're taking a lot of damage onto your top lane, but as soon as they brought that extra man in there, they got the double kill onto Overpow.
So much like the mistakes that Roccat made yesterday, we may see a fight breaking out. We'll get to that in a second. Overpow's coming in from the side. Now, Nidalee's always going to sit and spam those javelins from behind the tree line, trying to get as much distance and as many blind hits as possible. It's much harder to avoid. Good wards from Wolves will at least give them a bit of a heads up on those javelins coming in, but we're going to be going, ooh, many, many times in the next few minutes.
And the Wolves maybe as well, wincing every time they see that spear coming through and hope that they can actually dodge that one. In fact, the entire team just went down there, but again, look at Xaxus. He's just throwing the barrels out, body slamming into them, and he's got teleport, so he can continually push. YoungBuck is obviously the counter to that. He himself with Shyvana does have that teleport, both of which are on cooldown now, so that's just going to be kind of tug of war in the top side.
Yeah, battling it out, and I think Roccat are just going to keep playing this map game. They don't need to put themselves in a position where they can get jumped on. The moment Copenhagen Wolves came to defend that bottom tower in force, Roccat backed away. They played it a little safe. They stole the red buff, so it's multiple buff steals. If Roccat can get some damage onto the Wolves now, it's going to allow them to back away and pick up an uncontested dragon. If not, they just land once again. Long-range poke to secure a fairly easy objective. To go back to the very early game and how well the Wolves started it, I think their overconfidence at how successful the early game was is what bit them in the butt. Because there was no vision for Forgiven and Unlimited, and once Amazing had recalled, there was about 30 seconds of, are they going to stick around? The answer was yes, and that allowed Overpow to just roam, grab 2 kills, and it set the tone of this whole game. Nidalee has been dictating which objectives are stolen and which towers go down. It's the 3rd dragon in a row for Roccat.
Doing well on that front. We've actually seen YoungBuck push that top wave all the way out here, and that's really fine, because as long as they have vision of YoungBuck, they can just fight in the bottom lane. They can go 4 versus 4 because if one single Nidalee spear hits, it's 3 versus 4. Xaxus can use his ultimate to stop YoungBuck doing anything, or to stop him teleporting down. It's going to stay 3 versus 4 until the next guy comes healed up, back into the fight, and another one's probably caught a spear by then.
Rabadon's death cap completed now for Overpow, so he's
especially now.
Cooldown reduction, he's got mana regen, he's going to be throwing those javelins out all day long. I would like to see Roccat avoiding the Baron. I feel like their team, while there is a lot of ability power damage, it's not necessarily the strongest. And the reason I say so, if Copenhagen Wolves are able to collapse on this Baron pit quickly enough, they will just get melted because there's a lot of AoE from Wolves. But the Wolves have no idea. They've got no vision. They've absolutely no idea that this is happening.
Not a clue that this is going down. The Wolves are there.
There's no risk.
Yeah, there we see the ultimate being thrown out in the end by cowTard. Don't actually think any of them connected in the end, and that means they lose out on the Baron, and so close to 10,000 gold lead now are Roccat. And how are you going to defend this one against that Nidalee in particular that's got not only those massive spears, but now has all the statistics from that Baron buff as well?
At this point in the game, Copenhagen Wolves have already lost. There's nothing they can do against this poke composition. The time when they needed to flank, the time when they needed to prevent objectives being taken was in that Baron pit. You get the AoE from Annie, you get the AoE from Shyvana, the damage that's coming out of Xerath. But because Wolves have had just poor vision deep in their, past their own objectives, they had no idea what was happening, and Roccat snuck that one away, took less than 10 or 12 seconds, completely risk-free. And it was just because of all of the map presence and control Roccat have given themselves. There's very little that Wolves can do outside of Roccat having a very big misplay right now.
Xaxus actually is going to push that top wave down, and that's going to be the key maybe to cracking the nut of the Copenhagen Wolves. Celaver, he's doing the same on that bottom lane. They were pushed up pretty heavily. I mean, if you look at turrets, 5-2, only the middle and bottom outer turrets have so far gone down from Roccat. And it's hard to say if any others are really going to go down by this point in the game.
I feel like the Copenhagen Wolves haven't made a play to make up this disadvantage they're in. You know, if you think for the last 10 minutes, Copenhagen Wolves have not challenged for any of their buffs. They've not challenged for any of the dragons. They haven't looked to set up picks. Amazing has become a non-factor in this matchup. He's not going in. Now, yes, Roccat have been doing everything right. Roccat jumped on YoungBuck, got towers, pushed bottom lane, got dragon, set up wards, snuck Baron. But what has Wolves done to actually mitigate that or try pull themselves back in? Because I can't, I can't really think of a play outside of just engaging with Shyvana and Annie that's going to help them do that.
Well, I think that's what they're going to have to do, isn't it? So bottom line, we're going to have to see good flash tibbers from Annie. We're going to have to see YoungBuck dive in there. They're going to have to throw everything that they've got, as there is the first spear landing onto Unlimited. Half of his health taken down instantly. And look at this, Lucian down the bottom lane, Gragas in the top lane. A 1-3-1 split with masses of damage from the spears. They have no answer to this at this point, the Wolves.
Now, the Wolves need to pull a trigger. They need to find an opportunity to jump in there. Forgiven is in a little bit of trouble because there's poke coming out from multiple champions. We do see cowTard responding to at least wave clear. And oh, that's another one. 70% of cowTard's damage shredded by the javelin toss. Roccat are just playing this game perfectly. They're now on 2 separate inhibitor turrets. Copenhagen Wolves, they can't split the focus. They don't want to fight because there's Baron.
Ultimate thrown out here, and again, most of the charges just simply dodge from left to right. Celaver continues to hammer away. Inhibitor turret in that bottom lane. He's almost down. And now Overpow fancies his chances with a couple of spears over that bottom wall. The minions certainly not going to last long with Celaver with that Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, and Last Whisper combo that he's got in, and they're just running rings around the walls. As they go towards the bottom, they go back in towards the top and give Celaver some time in the bottom lane against Annie and Caitlyn, which Celaver not even remotely scared of. There is Tibbers coming in, and there was the Mikhail's Crucible used instantly, but Given going to get hammered away by the Cullen. Meanwhile, it's 2v1 in the top lane as well. The minions gone here at this point. Overpow did take down YoungBuck, and that means that one less man is there to defend these turrets. Celaver going to tank it up, takes that one. Unlimited, no. We saw the ultimate use from Jankos. They're just spreading them out across all 3 lanes.
Copenhagen Wolves needed to have gotten... Oh, look at that damage from Celaver. If Copenhagen Wolves had home guard boots earlier and picked a lane to jump on somebody as a group, maybe they could have defended the siege, but unfortunately, they haven't been able to do that. So the first turret of the inhibitors falls. The first inhibitor is going to fall, and now Celaver and VandeR, they're just looking for more kills. Cocoon does connect. Can the Wolves get a kill?
Yes, they can. They pick up their first kill of the game. That comes for Forgiven, but look what it's cost them there. The inhibitor turret, the inhibitor mid lane inhib turret didn't go down. Didn't quite have the damage for that one as cowTard just stepping behind the minion line. But once again, that's lots of wave cleared out. That's over 1,000 gold, 1,800 for Overpow, 2,000 gold for Celaver to spend the next time that they go home.
Yeah, they're just going to extend this damage that they can put down. And, you know, previously, the fear that I had of Copenhagen Wolves initiating on Roccat and the strength of like the Annie, Shyvana, Elise, etc., that is no longer a problem because Roccat have a 14,000 gold lead. Forgiven is going to get killed.
Well, the barrel wasn't the best that we've ever seen out of Yang. Okay. Nidalee from the side. That was all a bait from Xaxus there, I think. But maybe the Wolves are going to get their third turret of the game. They're going to have to start recalling though because, oh, maybe not. The bottom lane wasn't pushed any further. But the Wolves do take down a third turret of the game. They're currently 14k behind in this one. And poor old Forgiven, he thought he got the better of him there. Was going for a bit of flare and said it was just a spear. So it's small solace that at least the Wolves get a kill. They've got their tower in the top lane. The problem for the Wolves is because they are so far behind, even if they jump on Roccat, they are still going to take a massive amount of damage. So Rockat's team fight composition is still not 100% ideal. And you see Jankos, he's just toying with like 3 members of Wolves in this mid lane. Now what Roccat can do is, because Baron's up in a minute, they can get a bunch of wards in the blue buff side of the Copenhagen Wolves, pull Copenhagen Wolves towards them, towards that Baron pit, and then land the poke. Now previously, they snuck Baron away. Now with the massive gold lead that they have, they can just play the poke game, force Copenhagen Wolves to take a bunch of damage, and grab themselves what is going to be an uncontested Baron. I don't think the Wolves are going to be brave enough to pick a fight, but I've been wrong a few times this game already. Could possibly, just be completely the opposite of that, in fact. As cowTard here, going to get a good stun on towards Jankos, but the damage not enough to break the half HP mark, and there's a Nidalee heal that gets him back straight into full HP territory. The poke from the support coming down as well. Not quite the Void Staff items and what have you that we've seen of previous Karmas, but you don't really need it when you've got this Nidalee and the Gragas that are just absolutely battering the enemy team. Both of them Rabadon's Death Cap, both of them Void Staff, both of them Athenes and Holy Grails. That's Xerath's Embrace as well for Overpow. And it feels, and I hate to call it this, but it feels like a matter of time before they break through. Finally, we are going to see Tibbers coming down. They cleanse it off there. There's a spear going through. There was a repel. YoungBuck going on towards Jankos. Can they finish him off? Artillery comes through, and Jankos sidesteps them all. They don't get a single kill.
Now, if only the Copenhagen Wolves had done that 15 minutes earlier, with this massive gold deficit, the Copenhagen Wolves with an obscure initiation, they get so much damage onto Roccat, they almost get kills. But it has come too late. The damage is already done. This is the second Baron of the game that Roccat are going to secure. There are still super minions in that bottom lane pushing into the Copenhagen Wolves base. And you have to give props to the Wolves. That was a decent engage. That was a decent chase. But like we said, they're just too far behind, and YoungBuck is now getting chased down a little bit by Overpow. He's going to pounce through. I don't think they can kill him, but the siege is going to commence. Regen is now up, and all of a sudden, Wolves have to put another godlike defense in place.
Yeah, which Unlimited is not going to have flash for quite a while here. That's going to be a real problem for them. Minions start coming in. Wow. One barrel takes half health away. There's a spear. cowTard loses 3/4 of his health. Amazing catches a spear as well. I mean, one thing you've got to do in these scenarios is dodge every other spear. Just catch one out of 3. Let's try that one and just die. I mean, they should just fight. They've got nothing to lose at this point.
I completely agree with you. The problem is they should have been fighting earlier. And, you know, because Copenhagen Wolves played such a passive early, mid-game rather, that is what afforded Roccat all of this time to get these items and this damage built up. You know, at this point, Copenhagen Wolves need to, draw some inspiration from dodgeball. You know, dip, duck, dodge, dive. And it was a duck again, was the second, the 5th rule, I can't remember. Because every single piece of poke they take is going to give up another objective. Amazing tries to go in, and look at the damage, Unforgiven.
Yeah, We can all see it. The crowd do it all for us here. Oh, that means that something is going in favor of Roccat. They got that inhibitor again on the bottom side. Actually, YoungBuck trying to force them out of their base, and they do manage to get Jankos to jump away from things, but Xaxus throws in his barrel. Don't actually know what it hit. I think it hit cowTard there. He's at less than half HP. It hit one of them down there anyway. Celaver actually going to get hit by the ace in the hole. Forgiven has pushed the AD carry away. They actually get tippers onto Jankos. Big Nidalee heal though. They're going to turn this one right back on him, and YoungBuck has to back away with the rest of the team.
Yeah, at this point in time, Copenhagen Wolves need all of their members to jump in. That was just a 1 versus 4, and while it looked okay for a tiny bit of time, if the support was there from the rest of the Wolves, they maybe could have pushed it away. Top inhibitor is down, bottom inhibitor is down. Roccat are using their 15,000 gold lead to roll around to potentially the mid lane. We see Jankos is backing away. He's going to spend some of that hard-earned money, and most likely the rest of the team is as well. Roccat really playing this one quite safe. I think that top lane engage from earlier was a bit of an eye-opener. They don't want to run the risk of getting caught out and giving up kills, giving away this very strong lead that they've built up.
2-game win streak is what... what am I talking about? A 2-game win streak is what the Wolves were looking for coming into this one. You know, obviously saw Roccat lose to Alliance yesterday, but it's more about the head-to-head between these two teams now. That is currently in favor of the Copenhagen Wolves. If Roccat can finish this game off, then it goes 2-2, which I really feel could be a tiebreaker between these two teams when it comes to the end of the season.
And even scarier for the Copenhagen Wolves with the what is most likely to be eventual loss here. If they go to an 11-13 record, they are 1 game away from Super Hard Crew with wins and losses. Super Hard Crew are 10-14. That is touching distance. So there is a real possibility of 6th and 7th. Remember, 7th place goes straight down to the summer promotion tournament and has to face a challenger team. And we'll get to that a little bit later. The siege is once again on. Roccat group themselves up in this mid lane. Baron is not far from wearing off. Less than a minute to go. Spamming out those barrels, spamming out those javelins. And Copenhagen Wolves, they're just playing dodgeball. Oh, that's a dead cowTard.
Didn't dodge that one, that's for sure. And they may go for even more here. Unlimited gonna get tethered up, and there's the bug jumping in. It's Celaver that actually, no, it wasn't. It was Jankos that got the kill. I told a lie because it was Celaver who was just pushing straight through that bottom lane. They did get the inhibitor turret and the inhibitor. They've got super minions from 2 lanes now. They've got minions from that mid lane as well. Surely they can finish the game now.
They definitely can. There's not enough members of the Copenhagen Wolves to defend this. They don't have enough wave clear to hold off Roccat, and just the poke and the damage from Roccat is very, very good. Roccat going to grab the win and going to secure the head-to-head advantage against the Copenhagen Wolves.
Did not really miss a beat this game, did Roccat. Not the most entertaining match to watch in terms of the amount of kills and all-out action, but they did it by the book. They played that poke comp